computer or my iPad. So today I'm going to make some empanadas. I don't know if any of you guys like empanadas. I like empanadas. Um, and today I'm going to make some, what do you call it? I would say beef empanadas. So I'm going to give you guys a good kind of like background if you want to make empanadas. So you could use a bowl or you could use your cabinet. Like I stated to you guys previously, my house, my kitchen caught on fire. So I'm in an Airbnb and everything isn't the same. So normally I would have different tools, but today I don't. So I have to use what I have. So I have this bowl here. You're gonna put flour in here. I would say maybe about a cup and a half, but it all depends on how many empanadas you're making. So it's up to you. So like I said, I'm gonna use pork and so ground pork, which is basically like Italian sausage and ground beef. I'm gonna use half of both of these because it's just me and my husband. We don't need all of that. Um, so you're gonna need, so like I said, flour. You're gonna need, it depends on how many meat you're making, but for today I'm gonna use 2 eggs. I'm going to use the egg yolks to make the dough, but the white parts of the eggs I'm gonna put to the side because that's what I'm gonna use for the egg wash. An egg wash essentially is just egg whites with a little water or milk, and that's what's going to. Can you stop it? Can you stop it? Can you stop it? No. Thank you. Sorry. Um, Forgot what I was saying. Okay, so I think I was saying something about the eggs. So the egg wash is just basically eggs and water, essentially. And you stir it up. So typically when you're baking, I would always say anything with baking, you are going to use things that are room temperature. So if you're making a cheesecake, the cream cheese needs to be room temperature. The eggs, the whatever, all of those things need to be room temperature. If you're baking a cake, same things, eggs, milk, whatever it is you're using, butter, especially if you're making like a cream cheese, anything. And if you're making a like a buttercream or icing or something like that, you want it to all be, you want to be able to make the cream and the sugar together for that to cream good, you need it to be room temperature. And room temperature fluctuates and can differ depending on your house temperature. So if you live in the Caribbean, your house temperature is probably not going to be good for things that need to be cold. So like butter and eggs and all that. But that's okay because you can put them in the fridge, right? But if you need something to be cold, like with the empanadas, what we're making, it's not, you have to leave everything in the fridge and you cannot leave anything on the counter. To like I would traditionally leave out like the cream cheese if I'm gonna make a cheesecake or something like that. In this case, when you're making a dough and you want it to be flaky, it is required to have uh, ice cold everything. So your butter, I'm using Kerrygold, but you can use whatever butter you want. This actually is a good room temperature butter, but in my house it's typically cold because my husband likes it to be cold. Um, but in your butter, when it gives a little bit, and you can push it and that's perfect for like room temperature, in my opinion. But for the purposes of an empanada, you don't want room temperature or anything. You want everything to be cold. If your grandmother or whomever loved on you as a child, or whoever wherever you lived, if they had you in the, well, what was I gonna say about that? Oh, if they made flaky anything, it's only flaky because they used ice cold butter. That's why it's flaky. If you use room temperature butter, it's going to spread, it's going to melt, and then you won't get the flakiness. You know how you have like flaky dough? Like, I'm trying to think of something that would have a flaky dough, like oh God, what is that dessert that they make in like Russia or somewhere? What is that dessert? Oh my God, I can't remember. They put like pistachios. But anyway, anything flaky, you want cold everything. If you don't want it to be flaky and you want it to be like a bread, like a cake or something like that, don't use you use room temperature everything. So anyways, what you want to do is you want to put some, oh, let me finish with all the ingredients. So cornstarch and a little bit of baking soda. Where I come from, flour doesn't come seasoned, so you always want to put a little bit of salt into your dough. Because like I said, I'm not in my house because I burnt my kitchen down a few months ago. I don't have the tools that I normally would use. So for example, normally I would use there's this, it's like it has a black plastic handle, and then if you could imagine like rounded, like knife edges, but it's rounded. The reason, the purpose of that is to when you're using cold, freezing cold butter, if you use your hands to mix it, your hands are warm, right? So it's gonna warm up the dough. You don't want that. If you want flaky, you don't want that. It's no bueno, okay? So that's why I recommend using that. But before someone made that great device that I don't have because they packed up my whole house, I'm gonna have to use a fork. Listen, all of the things, they get better with time, meaning people create things to make life easier for them. So it started out with a fork, which is still usable, but it's easier when I have that big thing because I can go, and it makes life easier. I'm drinking a green drink because I'm thirsty and because it's probably healthy for me. Okay. I'm trying to think of what else. So you're gonna want some ice water because when you're mixing your dough, when you're making your dough, if you use too much flour, it could get dry, and you don't want dry. You don't want dry empanadas. That's not good eats, right? So if it's too dry, you add more fluid or more water or liquid. If it's too sticky, then you add more flour, right? But again, you don't want to overflour it. Empanadas is one of those. What's the right word? I don't want to say desserts because it could be a dessert, it could be savory, where over kneading it isn't necessarily an issue. So I would say don't over knead it, but it's not something that's going to kill your dough. After you make your dough, so once you have you mixing your uh, cornstarch, baking powder, baking soda, if you decide to use that. Once you mix that together, and a little bit of salt, and again, even though I say, you need to salt it or put some flavor in it, the butter is gonna add lots of flavor, so you don't have to put too much. I wouldn't put too much personally. So then you mix all of those things together, and then you're going to put some flour. Like I said, maybe a cup or two, depending on how many you're making. And you're gonna put the flour in there after you mix everything up, and then you're gonna make like a little well in your flour, and that's where you're gonna put your egg yolks. The egg yolks, not the whole egg. The reason I say that is because it's going to give you like a more, in my opinion, authentic look, because it's going to make the dough yellow. So when your friends come over or whomever you're inviting, they're going to be like, oh, these are real authentic. And they are, because you're making it from scratch. But they'll think that, you really understand. You understand the assignment, right? And remember I said put the egg whites to the side because you're going to use that to make your egg wash. And an egg wash is just literally water or milk with the egg, the white part of the egg only. You're gonna make the dough at that point. I'm not gonna do it now. I'll do another video once I've made it, and once I roll out the dough and add the filling, that's when I'll do another video. Cancel. Sorry. And so like I said, so what's gonna happen is I'm going to take the beef, half of this, and I have lean beef because I don't like a whole bunch of grease. Plus, if you have a lot of liquid in your empanada, then there will be a lot of space created, and you don't want that. You want it to be like nice and filled and everything. Also, don't get overzealous with what you're putting inside of the empanada, because then you can't close it right and things fall apart, and that's nice. That's not good eats, right? You want it to be pretty and kind of uniform. They don't have to be perfect, because then you do want the people to believe that you made it and that you didn't get it from the empanada house up the street. So with my meat, so if I'm making beef empanadas or, Italian sausage, whatever, I usually use multiple meats. I just think it's good. And the Italian sausage, if you ever notice, it really doesn't make a lot of grease. Just like if you were using turkey sausage or something, it doesn't really make a lot of grease. Same thing with chicken. So it soaks up a little bit of the grease from the ground beef. So it'll be all good. So before I start cooking the beef, I usually use bell pepper, onion. You're gonna slice that up. Yellow might be good, white. It doesn't really matter to me. Onion just pretty much makes things taste better if you're gonna make any type of savory meal, in my opinion. So you're gonna saute the onion, the bell pepper, and you can make these days in advance. And actually, I would advise that. You can make the dough in advance, and you can make the filling in advance. And so then when you're gonna have whatever you're gonna have at your home, like I said, a game night, people coming over for a holiday, whatever it is, you're gonna make it, then you already have everything made. So all you gotta do is warm it up, roll out the dough, you good to go. Like 20 minutes before people arrive. And so when they arrive, well, if they're on CP time, they might be late, but that's on them. So yeah, so you're gonna make the meat. You're gonna put that to the side. Let that cool, right? Because when you get ready to bake them or fry them, you don't need it to be like sky high or whatever. That is important because again, remember I was saying it will melt the butter. So while you're making it, you don't want the meat to be hot. You want it to be probably cloak. Let me see. You don't want it to be room temperature, but a little less than room temperature is what I would do. Um, so then you roll out your dough. But again, I'm not in my house. Remember I told you I burned down my kitchen. So I don't have my like rolling pin. I don't have all my tools. I have like the little, what do you call it, like biscuit cutters and I don't have none of that. So I'm improvising, right? So look, this is what I haven't decided yet. I'm going to use either this or this is going to be my rolling pin, okay? So she has to figure it out, okay? So I got to use what I can use. I want to use this because it doesn't have any like grooves and whatever this is. It has a little bit of grooves, but I like the handle part. So I might use this one. I'm not sure. So this is going to be my rolling pin because you just got to make shit work, right? And then like to make the little round disc shaped empanadas, I'm just going to use this top to this cream cheese frosting. That's what I'm going to use. Because it's basically the same thing, in my opinion. So then once you're done, then when your meat's done, you got your dough, you got your dough ready and everything. Once you make and like I said, I'm gonna make another video for that. But once you put the meat inside of the empanada or whatever it is that you're gonna put inside of there, and you turn it over. I thought it would be easy the first time I did it. I'm like, oh, I just have to press it. No, 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 it's not easy, and it comes with time, in my opinion. The closing of the empanada, because like I said, people could be very, what's the right word? Zealous with it. But the easiest way to close it, in my opinion, is this little device. You just go around it, and it closes, and it's fine. And then I also made sure to score mine a little bit. So scoring it is just basically putting like use a sharp knife. So like, this would be like a paring knife. So you want to use a sharp knife, because if you use a knife that's serrated, this is a serrated knife. See? I don't know if y'all can see that. But that's good for cutting bread because it'll make a good cut. But if you want to just score something, you don't want to use that because it'll just get stuck in between the little blades, and that's just going to make your life hard. I don't butter the top of them or anything like that, but I will put the egg wash on there. And then you're going to need to have your oven already at, I would say 400 degrees, and you're going to cook them for about, I feel like 10 minutes probably would be. But every oven and everything is always going to be, what's the right word? I don't want to say just different, but it is. So a gas stove cooks, in my opinion, much better than the heat efficiency is much better and more accurate in a gas stove than a electric stove. But anyway, I would set my oven at 400. I put the ingredients, the recipe, all of that in the description. So I'm going to go ahead and do the making of the empanada filling, and then I'll make another video to kind of show you guys what I've done. And then also too, because I'm creative and I like my life, I decided, and plus I'm creative, but I'm extra. My husband would probably agree with that. Steven, am I extra? He's not listening. He's on the, what's that thing called? I don't know what it's called. It costs like $300. If you're a child, if you're a parent, you probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm gonna take this pineapple because I feel like we need a dessert empanada. Listen, I'm the type of lady, I'm like, look, let's eat dessert first. Then I'll decide if I want food. Just saying. Anyways, so I'm gonna stop the video here. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the meat. Then I'm gonna make the dough, and then I wish I could just pause it, but there's no way to pause the video. So I'll come back with the meat. I don't know if I would have you. No, I'll just make the meat. Oh, look, I'll show you guys the meat. Not the meat. What is it called? These are the ingredients that I'm using. So like I said, onion powder. Is this onion powder? Yeah, onion, whatever this is. I just use this on almost everything. Longhorn. I don't know if y'all ever been there. Garlic and parsley, a little bit of seasoning salt. This is garlic, but you can use, I actually would recommend using, I was about to say real garlic, but yeah, the fresh garlic, white pepper, and then some black pepper if you want. And you can put whatever you want. And like I said, if it's seafood that you're making, like a seafood empanada, which, listen, I was gonna be ambitious and try to do that today, but I got things to do. She has things to do. So, but if you were gonna make a seafood one, I would probably put crawfish and shrimp. Ooh, and lobster. Ooh, yum. That sounds good, right? I remember. Okay, I'll tell you this little story, and then I am gonna really make the empanadas because I told my husband I was gonna make empanadas, and I'm sure he's hungry. But I remember I was at my aunt's house. Me and my cousin was at my aunt's house, and we was probably like 10. And I remember her and her boyfriend came home one day, and they had burritos, and we were hungry, so they were like, "Y'all want some burritos?" And so we were like, "Yeah," because you know how kids are. Anytime they think a snack is happening, the world could be ending. Did you say a snack? They with it, okay? So they told us, "Y'all want some burritos? We got some burritos." And we love seafood. So all we knew is that there were burritos with seafood. So we were like, yes. And they were crawfish burritos. The problem was they literally got, I guess, habanero uh, peppers or something. Because they watched us. Why do people do this to their kids? They watched us eat the spicy ass burrito and then be traumatized from it. I was just like, why y'all doing that? But I guess it's the same reason why people put lemons in like the 8-month-old baby mouth. Like, why are we doing that? But I did do that. Not with my baby, but I guess that's worse. Or what's the other thing people do? Give them ice cream or blow pop. It's just, it's wrong. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Chanel's Reality. I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. I'll be back to show you guys how I made the dough. I think I'll at least film myself making the dough. I guess I could just do that now. Let me go ahead and do that. Because you need to make the dough first. I'm trying to decide if I want to put... Okay, so yeah, I'm going to put the flour in this bowl. I put the flour in this bowl. Like I said, it doesn't matter how much flour you want to use. It's all going to depend on how many empanadas you want to make. So, how many hungry people you got at your house? Just saying. And you know, my next door neighbors, they are Spanish. So one, I think, is from like El Salvador, and then another one is from Mexico. And they always, listen, this is how we got in. Well, I didn't do this intentionally, but this is how I feel like we got in good with our neighbors from the jump. We had a housewarming party. And like Steven, my husband, and his family, they made everything. Like they made red beans and rice, barbecue, like pork, ribs, chicken, sausage, you know, the whole thing. We had a whole shebang. Everybody brought all kinds of foods and everything, desserts, all that, right? And I told him, I was like, yeah, come over. You can have food. And he came. Fidel is his name. I love Fidel. But he came over, and you know, when you're having a shindig or whatever at your house, you're just, well, I'm this type of person. I'm not that person that's like, and every family has one of these people, but I'm not that person that's like, oh, like micromanaging the Capri Suns that the kids had. Oh, you already had a Capri Sun. I'm not that girl. I actually work from a person, like, I don't want to run out of food, so I always have more than enough food, drinks, alcohol, whatever it is, right? But anyways, so I feel like we gave him some of that food, and listen, it's been beauty ever since. It's been wonderful. So they bring us over these things, I forget what they're called. I think they're called like papusas or something like that, I feel like, but I'm not 100% sure. All I know is it's some sort of dough that they make, and they put like chicken in the middle or something like that. My husband loves it. But they bring us over food. Like I'll bring them over a cheesecake because I make a cheesecake like twice a year. I'll bring them over cheesecake or whatever I'm baking because I like to bake. Clearly I'm here making empanadas with y'all. If you guys want to support my channel, please hit that like button. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. So now, like I said, I am going to separate these eggs. I'm trying to think of how I could do it. Because I'm not in my house, so I don't have all my stuff. Like I normally have like these little glass bowls, you know what I mean? To put everything, so like when I'm making something, I can like visually see everything. because I will forget and be like, oh Lord, I forgot this, that, and the third. So I'm separating this egg from the white. And the white, listen, he just want to hold on. I don't know. Can you let go? Just let go. Just let it go. He want to hold on. I don't know why. So you're going to make like a little well. My husband's fighting with somebody on. Listen, he over there fighting with one of those devices that you buy your kids. Where you buy your kids a device and it's like a Nintendo Switch, I think is what it's called. Okay, so anyway, I'm cracking my second egg. And here's the thing that I learned when I started baking real quick is it's good to have like a trash bowl like sitting next to you. Because then you don't have to constantly be going back and forth to the trash and back and forth to the trash and back and forth to the trash. But also, something. Oh, the other thing I learned about baking, it takes time and finesse. And if you don't have no time, you probably shouldn't like try baking because baking can. Well, let me not say. I don't want to tell people not to bake, but I'm just gonna say it definitely requires patience. And you know what? Now that I think about it, patience is not my virtue. It ain't. That's one of them virtues. Clearly, God missed me with it. That ain't my virtue. It's not my virtue. But I am a decent cook and a good friend, a good wife. So I guess it balances out. It's so far, right? Diddy, court witness. I'm just populating on my computer now. Okay, so remember that's what I was gonna say about cracking an egg. One of the things I learned really quickly, like a lot of people be like, oh, just crack your egg into whatever it is that you are making. So let's say you're making a cake. Crack your egg right on into that. To me, I wouldn't do that. And the reason I wouldn't do that, the reason I crack the egg over to the side into like one of those little clear bowls that I was telling you guys about, is because Murphy's Law. What will happen, what you think can happen will happen. So you don't want to be trying to chase around the little piece of the egg fracture, the shell. You don't want to be doing that in your whole cake. It's easier to get it out of that little small bowl. So for me, that's why I do that. And then I'm gonna just keep the little egg white over here for the oh, and I need cold butter, so I gotta get that out the fridge. Hang on one second. So remember I was telling you need really cold butter. So I'm going to now chop this butter up as quickly as possible. I should have had this one already. Sorry. That's why prep is good. Free prep. That's why they always have a prep team at a restaurant. I don't care, even if you work at the KFC, they got a prep team in there making the rice, or well, they don't serve rice anymore, but beans or whatever it is, mashed potatoes. You see how you hear that? That's what you want, really cold butter. Because if the butter ain't cold, it's going to spread. And that is not good for, I just realized something. This is wrong. I did it wrong. You're supposed to put the butter in first, not the flour. So, I now have to get this egg out of here, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. Okay. Listen, I'm going to try to figure out. Okay, look, I got it out. I got it out. Mostly. Okay. See what I was saying about Murphy's Law? Of course this would happen live. But, you know, it is what it is. Life happens. That's life. I mean, I don't have kids, but, you know, I feel like something like that would happen if, like, especially if, like, you're trying to do something great. Wait a second. So now since I added more flour, now I need to add more, a little more salt and baking soda. Or no, what did I have? Where did it go? Oh, cornstarch. Okay, so now I gotta get to the butter because we don't want the butter. Melting. Another good way to do this, I would recommend, especially if you're not really sure about how to make dough, is in a what do you call the thing? Like a food processor. The reason I say that is because, um, see, I don't even want to touch the butter at all because the more you touch it, your hand is cold. I mean, it's warm and it's gonna warm it up. We don't want that. And I'm concentrating because I have a sharp knife. So it's probably the safety thing for me. But I wish I had like a longer knife, but I don't trust these people's knives at this Airbnb that we're at. So I'm gonna trust my trusted knife. Okay. Um, and this cold butter is what makes empanadas or any type of dough that you're making flaky. So if you don't want to use, if you don't want flaky and you want like bread, regular bread, then you don't have to do this. Like I said, I recommend, there's this little thing that I use. It looks like a knife, but it's like a rounded knife. And you can mix the dough that way. And it's really good because it gets the butter, it gets everything kind of like happy and getting to know each other. But again, I burnt down my kitchen. So I don't have all my devices. So I'm just, look, I'm over here trying to make it. So I would say cut these into like little, I don't know if I would say dime size, but I don't know if y'all can see that. So whatever that size is, I would cut that. And you just put as much as you feel like you need to put in there. I don't want to touch it because I don't want it to melt. This is a time where it would be good if your house is cold because you want the butter to stay cold. And like I said, if you're just now joining, please hit the like button. But also, I'm making empanadas from scratch. So I'm cutting up the empanadas. Anybody watching, y'all can put it in the chat. Have y'all ever made homemade empanadas? If so, how do you make yours? I'm very curious to know how others make theirs. And I was gonna tell you guys like how much butter to use, but in this case, I feel like you kind of can't you can't overuse, you can't overuse butter in empanadas. I feel like because the more butter, the flakier it's gonna be. That's all that's gonna happen. It's just gonna be flakier and flakier and flakier. That's what's gonna happen. Um, the other thing I think is really cool to do with your butter, they charge for this now, but basically like you could do like you could put basil in your butter. You could flavor it with rosemary, parmesan, like all kinds of different things. I think that's so cool. If you have time. I was watching Martha Stewart on Netflix last night, and I have to say, and I added Martha because I'm about that life, and I ain't scared of Martha. I don't care that she did go to jail, and sitting over there smoking weed all the time. I ain't scared. Listen, bitch not running my blood. It just is what it is. It ain't changing over here. But anyways, I say that because years ago, me and my husband went to this little island in the Caribbean called St. Lucia. And while we were there, I went on Macy's because we were there for like 3 weeks. I went on Macy's.com, I think it was, and there were these Martha Stewart. What do you call those things? We don't have them here, but they're like those little cast iron stoves or something like that. And I went on there to get one because Martha's supposed to be the queen of, homemaking. And I used them once, and I kid you not, they rusted one time. So I'm like, yeah, I believe that she went over there and she did the whatever that they accuse her for going to jail because you sold me these ratchet. I bought these cast iron what's some of those from her, and I just feel like first of all I don't really trust celebrity selling me anything because people. The business people know that people will buy it simply because I'm not that girl though. That's just gonna buy some shit just because a celebrity's selling it. I do like to buy things to support small businesses. They're not a small business, but I will support them if I like them. But I don't buy into this. Oh well, it must be great because they did it. Nope. Mm-mm. I don't even understand that. Like the people that just be like diehard fans of some person that doesn't even know they're alive. Just saying. It's weird. It's weird to me. Just, just maybe it's just me. I don't know. I feel like I got enough butter. So now I'm going to try to like as much as I can try to. Oh, this would be good. It would be easier to do this in one of those food processor things. But I burnt down my kitchen, so therefore I'm not able to, I gotta do this, I gotta put a little more, what's it called, in this, because it's not getting where it needs to go with this fork, which is probably why people made the easier ones, right? Uh, they made those different things like those devices I was telling you about. So this butter is extremely cold because like even still now, see, it's still very, it doesn't want to play with others. But I'm gonna need it to play with others a little bit, okay? Like don't make my life so hard, okay? Okay, empanada people. The empanada gods! Um, so yeah. I don't trust Martha. After that, I was like, They got her for I think insider trading or something like that. She says on the little YouTube thing, I'm not on YouTube, on the Netflix thing that somebody called her from her office or wherever and said, "Oh, we're gonna sell this, whatever it was," and I'm paraphrasing because that's not exactly what she said, but essentially what she was trying to say is she didn't know. But this is the reason I call BS with Martha regarding that is because Martha in her YouTube, whatever, not YouTube. Why do I keep saying YouTube? Maybe because I'm on YouTube. But in her documentary series on Netflix, Martha says that, oh, she had a job. She was like one of the first women or whatever, I guess, hired at the New York Stock Exchange, or at least at this one man hired. It was so sexist and one-sided that they didn't even have a ladies' room. So be clear, okay, about who make the rules in this country. But anyway, um, so I thought that was very interesting that she would say that, oh, I didn't know. Meanwhile, you used to work at the stock exchange. You made, from what I understood, they said she would make like $250,000 a year. That was probably in the 80s. So, Martha, come to the front. You suddenly not making that no more, sis? Stop it. Knock it out. This actually smells good. Y'all know what this smells like? This smells like, and I haven't put anything in here but literal flour, butter. Maybe it's the butter. The Kerrygold butter. That's probably what it is. It literally smells like if I creamed sugar and butter together. That's what it smells like. It smells sweet. It's weird. And I didn't buy like sweet butter. So anyway. I wish I had one of those. What's some of the little things? I really do wish I had one of those. I don't know, love. What were you looking for? So I'm supposed to keep crumbling this until it like it's supposed to be kind of like I'm trying to think what's the right word. We almost there though. So the butter is really cold, which is good because that's what you want for good flaky empanadas. But it's because it's so cold and I don't have one of those things where I could normally just do that with it. I have to try to do it with my hands before the butter decides it wants to melt. And I don't want that because that is not going to make flaky empanadas. And we want flaky empanadas, right? So everybody can kind of see. I'm just going to pour it out here on the counter. Let me move. Well, I'll pour it out here on the counter. So perspective, this is what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get the butter to love on the flour. But y'all see how it still has like those little, so we want to make it a little bit less of these little balls. Because we need, like I said, we need it to be happy. We need to be happy. So then we're going to make a little bit of what do you call it? What did I call it? A well in the middle. Steven, can you come here real quick? Because we're in Texas and we live in Houston, we automatically go against the Dallas Cowboys. But they're playing, so that means we automatically go for whoever they're playing. So they're playing Philadelphia. No, don't tell me who this is. Atlanta Falcons. Tell me what you smell. Come closer and just tell me what you smell. Thank you. He doesn't know. You don't smell like buttery, sugary, something. Okay. Thanks, husband. Of course you don't smell it. You're supposed to be like, yep, I smell whatever you smell. It smells good. That's all it is. Anyway. So I think this is about kind of what we needed it to be. And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to make it too, what's the right word? I don't want to make it, I don't want to warm it up too much. So you're supposed to make like a little dome here. Because in the middle, you're going to try to make a well. So in the middle of the dough, you're going to make like this little well in here. And that's where I'm going to put my egg yolks that I have over here that I accidentally put into the flour first on accident. But at least I caught it at the beginning, you know. Because I don't know what the hell I would have made if it was. So here are my egg yolks. I'm going to try to put them in here without the extra flour, but that might be kind of difficult. But that's okay. Because even with the extra flour, it's going to be, I'm going to probably add extra flour anyways at some point, right? So I'm going to put that in there. And remember I said you want some cold water on deck. So I have some water right here. So I'm going to put this together and I'm going to start adding that to the dough. The eggs are needed for any type of baking typically. So I don't trust people that be like, oh, I don't use butter or I don't use eggs. Or they use that stuff that says, I can't believe it's not butter. Run for those people from those people's houses. Because you're not making a cake then, sis. You're not making a cake. You're not making a cake. You are not making a cake if you are not using real butter, real sugar. We don't need stevia. God gave us sugar cane. What are we doing? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? We also want to have clean hands. I'm not washing my hands. But, so yeah, you don't want to over mix this part of it because you just kind of want to combine it. But you're making a dough. So now that we kind of have this combined, I'm going to add a little bit of water. Water's going to make it sticky. But remember what I said. You just add a little bit at a time. If it gets too sticky, you just add some flour. It'll all work out. I promise. It will. So now I'm going to try to knead the dough. Because it's getting sticky in my hands. I can feel the stickiness. But that's okay. We're going to keep kneading. We're going to keep making dough. This would be good to make, like, if you wanted to make. No, this would be a good time to make, not make, but add, have gloves on. If you don't like the stickiness of the dough and that type of thing, this would be a good time to have gloves. Oh, that looks good. They're making brisket on the TV. Chipotle is making brisket. So you see how the dough? I made a dough. See, not that difficult, right? You just take a little bit of love and a love and appreciation. Things that women like. Just a little bit of love and appreciation. And you don't want to overmix this right now because remember, you don't want the butter. You want the butter to remain cold. And the longer you're mixing this, the more you're going to make it to where the dough and inside of the butter is what's the right word? It's gonna melt. You don't want that. So one of the other things I always have is a Ziploc bag. You can use saran wrap, but I feel like saran wrap, it's not made of God. I don't understand. It always is doing its own thing. So I don't use saran wrap. I just put it in here and I'm gonna let it rest. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna let it rest I'm gonna let it rest for me about 20 minutes, and then I'll put it in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to warm up my stove, and we're gonna make the meats. So for right now, I'm just put this over here, wash my hands, and then we'll get started on the meat. If you are here, please hit that like button. Subscribe, hit all my buttons, notifications. The free and easy way to support my channel. So y'all like Atlanta? Or y'all like the Cowboys? We don't like the Cowboys. Why don't we like the Cowboys? Because they always talking for something that happened 39 years ago. I'm like, let's move to the current century. Stop it. Somebody's black grandma is turning over in her grave because she like, why don't you have a towel? And then that way you're not really continuously over using paper towels. I already know somebody somewhere. Tell me too in the chat if y'all would like regular, like if you want let me turn this stove on. If you would prefer fried empanadas or baked empanadas. Because part of my soul wants to bake an empanada today. Part of my soul wants to. But the other part of my soul just wants to put it in the oven because it can bake and then it'll be done. But we'll see. We'll see if that's a part of my ministry today. I don't know if it's going to be a part of my ministry today. So, I'm going to, I hope you guys could see the stove. Okay, I put it here. Something where it won't fall. So we'll put the honey in front of it. Oh! We just don't want that. We just don't need the iPad falling. Let's move the grease as well. Okay, the iPad, the honey wants to be. Okay, so I have an onion. What did I do with the onion? Here's my onion. I'm going to cut said onion. So that way, the onion can, onions, I don't know. Onions give, I feel like, it's one of those things kind of like bread that God, I feel like, gave us as a gift as human beings. I really do feel that way because it flavors everything, essentially. What do I do with the cutting board? And here's the thing too, with cutting boards. Let me tell you why this is problematic. It's because it moves around. That will have you cutting up your hands. Real talk. So, I can't with these. You need a heavy cutting board, I feel like. You need plastic and wood. Wood is good for things that are not flagrant or fragrant like this onion. You do not want to, I feel like, use an onion or something like garlic on a, what do you call it? On a wooden thingy, cutting board. Because wood is porous. And guess what that means? It will allow other things into its orifices. The little holes, the little tiny holes that are in it. And it's like, that smell. You ever went to someone's house or used a cutting board and it's like, why does it smell like onions? I'm telling you, that's why it smells like onions. Because they cut onions on it and they should not be, in my opinion. I feel like you use like a plastic one for that because you can wash the plastic and it's not porous. It's the reason why people use plastic, right? Because water and other liquids or fluids don't easily get through it. You kind of have to like poke a hole. So I'm gonna put a little bit of oil in here. Well, I'll probably put a little bit of butter. So I'm gonna use a little bit of butter. Some people use oil. You can use whatever you want. I just feel like butter has flavor. So I'm gonna use butter. And I'm now going to add my onions. And you want to let the onions, you don't want to put them on high or nothing. But what I've learned about this stove, and this Airbnb, or any stove that isn't gas, it just seems like it's, it doesn't have even cooking. That's number one. So like even if I turn this off right now, it will still like seemingly cook at high for like the next 10 minutes, which is bad. You don't want that. One second, guys. I'm looking for something else. What was I looking for? I'll figure it out, I'm sure, once I get it over here. But anyways, I always have like, oh, this is not what I was looking for. This is just onion. I was looking for the bell pepper. Oh, that's our there it is. Okay. It's always good to have like, I like the fresh onion like the one I have, but it's always good to have a little bit of this. And so, add some of this to it. That seems good, right? And so I'm gonna season this up a little bit. Put a little onion powder. A little bit of garlic. But you know, you can put whatever your seasoning is that you like. And like I said, I feel like bread and maybe oats, grits, all of those things are like manna from God, because you can make anything with bread. Like you could literally fill bread with anything. You could fill it with beef, chicken, pork, seafood, or you could cross over and fill it with fruits of any kind. Same thing with like things like grits and stuff. You could make them salty, you could make them savory. It just all depends on you. And I bought this little handy dandy thing a while ago. It's this thing that helps you like with the pressing down of meat. And somehow it has lost its way, and I don't know where the hell it is. It is not in this house though. It's kind of like socks in the dryer. Like, what the hell happened to all the socks? Weird. So, while that's cooking away, I'm about to add ground pork. Usually I get mild, but I didn't see mild. I just saw pork. So, mild usually have a little more flavor. So I'm only going to use, I'm not even probably going to use half. I'm probably going to use like a third of it. And then I'm going to put this over here. Oh, I need scissors to cut open. I don't even like those scissors. I have my kitchen shears. I think that's good. Maybe just a little more. Yeah. good thing about being at your own house is, like, on my sink, I have like a little, so you can turn the water on without touching anything or get soap. So that way, if you have like grimy meat, chicken, whatever on your hand, you don't have to touch the soap to do it. So you get what I'm saying? So you're just gonna mash this up. Again, I don't have my little specialty thing that I usually use. So I have to try to do it with this. Which, listen, I feel like this came from the dollar store, so I feel like it's gonna break at any moment. Which could be bad. So in the winter, do you guys make gumbo, chili? Cause listen, I make chili and gumbo whenever I feel like it. Cause some people be like, well, you can't make that, it's hot. I don't care. If I like it, I'm gonna make it. Why would I not like what I like? And my husband is he'll be able to tell you, like, listen, once she has in her mind what she wants, it's just, there is no changing. It's very hard to shift my focus once I've made a decision on what I want. So, Steven, you haven't seen that little thing that I was telling you about that I used to make the meat? You know? Okay. Well, he hasn't seen it either. I don't know. It's gone. It went somewhere. Apparently, it's with all the people that make socks go missing too. Am I the only one? It's just me. It's like, also I have this problem with my what do you call it? With my silverware. Yeah, so like we'll have a influx of spoons, but no knives. Then suddenly we have a whole bunch of knives, but no forks. I swear to God. I feel like it's the people at Marshall's, the people that stock the what do they call it aisle, the impulse buy. I feel like it's them because you be over there like, do I have measuring cups? Knowing you have 42 different types of measuring cups, but you can't remember. So now you got new KitchenAid measuring cups in your basket that you didn't need. Is it just me? I'm gonna give this to my husband to once in a while because he's much better at it. That's why I bought that device. That's what I got a lot. So I'll let him make these be like small little pieces. The other thing, once the meat is done cooking, if you don't feel like it's flavored good or you need more of something, then you can feel free to taste it. That's what happens. That's how you get good food made. You have to taste it. If you can. So that's why I say once it's done cooking, taste a bit of your beef or your pork or your chicken or whatever it is you're making. See what it tastes like. A lot of people also put like, I've seen them put like potatoes. Um, like I said, you can make it with chicken. You can make it with whatever your family likes. Lamb. I probably wouldn't put lamb, only because lamb is more expensive. Unless I was feeling like But the food is set up nowadays, these food prices, it's like, are you serious? So I gotta pay $85 for fruit. So. And listen, that was the one thing I remember growing up thinking to myself. I never want to like feel like I can't buy the name brand, um, whatever, pineapple. I don't want to buy Parade. What the kids say, I'm standing on business. I don't want to buy Parade. But now the way these gas prices and these food prices are set up, I gotta buy Parade. Or I buy, look, I don't buy Parade, I buy whatever is Parade adjacent. It is what it is. All right, so like the ground beef and whatnot, it's done now. Uh, this would be another good thing you could put in the food processor. Yes. The reason I say that is because then you get all of the flavors, all the onion, the bell pepper, the whatever it is, um, and you make it to where everything is small, so you don't have to be trying to cut it down, you know. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then, like I said, once I get ready to make the empanada, I've already made the dough for the empanadas. Now I've made the meat. I'm let everything cool down because you can't put this hot into that dough. It's gonna melt the butter, and then if it melts the butter, then you won't get the flakiness that you're hoping for, and that you want, because that's really what's gonna make your empanada taste good. So I turn this off. I'm gonna probably see if I can find, because they don't have a food processor here, and my whole house is packed up because, like I told you, my house I caught my kitchen on fire. So I'm gonna see if I can find the blender. And then I'll be back with this. I'll probably do it on my phone. Talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in to Chanel's Reality. I'm Chanel. This is my reality. Hit the like button. Hit all my little buttons and notification buttons. It's a free and easy way to support my channel. And I'm just one black lady over here minding my business, making good food. That's it. That's all. So just hit all my little buttons, so you'll be notified if I go live, if I upload something, or whatever's going on with me. But until next time, talk to you later. Bye. Thank you for choosing Chanel's Reality. Bye. Okay, this is it.